Hold on real quick.
Yeah.
What's your name?
I'm Roland Ecarma, 10th term graduating product major from Art Center College of Design. Just kind of making a small presentation, see what the design world is like out there. So nice to meet you.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay. So for the project, how I kind of approached it originally, since at the time there was a whole Haiti situation with the earthquake in January, and I thought about designing emergency gear for the situation, kind of actually approaching the Red Cross. And originally what the scenario was is a major earthquake of some kind has happened, first responders are on the scene. There's this kind of this idea of a golden window of 30 to 40 seconds for a patient to be assessed accurately to receive the type of care that they'll need for emergency triage, whether that be assessment of survivability, the type of injuries, situations related to that. And some of the important design considerations that came up was using first aid in particular was the mitigation process, the preparedness of the staff, the response time of the staff and the emergency responders, as well as the recovery process of establishments of either facilities, aid stations, or the adoption of the actual triage system. So during the interview process that I had at Huntington Hospital, one of the comments that they made is that there really isn't a need to design a specific medical-based system where it addresses first aid, since there's already one that's used nationwide, at least in the United States. And it's what they call these triage cards, these triage tags. And essentially it's there's...
So these are your prototypes real quick?
No, these are actually...
No, right here.
These are prototypes right here that I made.
That's right.
And then these are actually triage cards that are used within LA County to assess patients at either emergency situations such as accidents, a major disaster, or if there's a large influx of patients at a medical facility, whether it be a clinic or a hospital. So the pouch system that I designed works around the system already established, so it fits seamlessly with the established infrastructure. There's no need to come up with a new adoption of protocol or including a new kind of a design situation to meet the product of these pouches. You can kind of just adopt it, use it, it's good to go. This was the head of the emergency coordinating department. Daniel Holden was the one who got me in contact with most of the research contacts for this project, both the ER department of Huntington Hospital, along with the fire chief of Pasadena Fire Department, who then got me in contact with a firehouse that's secured specifically for search and rescue. But for the product, the target audience that I was going for were these individuals across the country, the ones who source the gear, the type of medical products that they need for their hospital staff, and the type of situations they're going for. They would be the primary target audience versus the actual target users, which are the nurses, the doctors, the boots on the ground, if you will.
Because the sell-through is through them.
Yeah, they're the ones that purchase the gear, and they're the ones that distribute it to the staff. So this person here, Jenny Van Slyke, she's the head nurse for Huntington Hospital's emergency department, and she was also pivotal in giving me input and connected me with her staff, so they can also give me ideas and comments on mock-ups and sketches that I presented to them during this whole process. One of the contacts here was Jane. She's actually a search and rescue. I'm not sure if she was part of Pasadena Fire Department or an independent search and rescue team, but she was the one who gave more input with the most up-to-date info of what goes on in the field, to the point where these pouches here, which are actually first-generation designs, are going to be replaced by second-generation designs, where there's a re-examination of how the pouches are put onto the person, how they're used, and also re-examining how this drop leg works, which I'll show after the presentation. So some of the inputs that they came up with is that the design originally had the pouches mount onto this leg rig, And some comments that they said is it's a good place to put it, but they didn't like that if we cram this with a lot of stuff, it might get heavy. You get this issue of the bag flopping around if you're running from station to station. So what they ended up doing is they started mounting the pouches on the belt. And the thing that they did like, if these had a sort of a belt clip, you could pull the pouches around you to your front, dig what you need to get, put the pouches back behind you, then go back to seeing your patient. And the leg rig, what they inevitably ended up turning it into was just a tool carrier. So something that they would have their tools, whether they're splints, cutting shears, other larger medical tools, they could just put them on the leg and they can have quick access to that during patient assessment.
Can you show that motion again from like the back to front?
Yeah, I can show it later on.
Okay.
Put the whole kit together. So this is just more input of them going through the pouches. And each of the pouches, the dimensions is catered and designed specifically to existing triage tools and kits like IV start kits, morphine start kits, large combined bandages, small, medium bandages, and some of the smaller tools that they carry like gloves, first aid kits for themselves, and maybe other small medicinal applications. And some of the other, not necessarily competitive, but existing products that are out there that are being used right now for triage are large Pelican type cases, duffel bags that carry literally everything. One of the things that I cater to with these pouches is that they use this thing called a crash cart, which is almost as big as this table, that has all the supplies that they would need for emergency triage after some kind of a disaster.
But that's in a hospital, isn't it?
That's in a hospital, yeah. Right now, how the system works as is, patients come in, they apply these triage tag cards, assess the patient, determine where they have to go, whether it's green, red, yellow, or black, and then from there they go back and forth between the patient on the tarp to the crash cart, which is in the emergency department to get the supplies. What the pouches...
So this is designed for emergency room
usage. Yeah. Or in a situation where they have these large packages with them that they keep stationary. Because these pouches, they never move. They set them up in sort of a base station fashion, and then that's where the nurses and doctors go back and forth between the patients and the supplies. So what the pouches allows the staff to do, they can fill up their pouch layout with the tools that they need by the assignment that they have. If they're just the person that has the morphine, they'll just carry the morphine drip, the IV start kits, the morphine start kits, and maybe small bandages.
So it's, the usage is not like, you know, sick to healed. It's like more like an assembly line where they're doing one specific task.
Yeah. The thing when it comes to triage, and this came from actually Daniel's mouth, which I found surprising. When we apply the triage system, they do it in the sense that we're here to save as many lives as possible. And quite frankly, what that means is if one patient comes in where they have a severe crush injury and it takes 5 or 6 doctors to save that person's life, that person, in the sense, is expendable versus the 6 or 7 other patients that could be saved if those doctors saw them first. So when it comes to triage, the idea is less about saving every single life that comes in, but saving the lives that are savable with what we have versus other patients that will take up more time, more supplies, and more personnel.
How is that assessed though?
With the crash, these cards right here.
Yeah, how does that work? Can you walk us through like
Yeah,
the procedure of what they do?
Yeah, let me stop for a sec. So